My aspirations in life were to be an educated Native woman because people in my family had not done that. Like the highest grade that anybody had gotten through was like high school, and I really bought into the thing that like education was the way to better Native people in our lives and whatnot. But I also really liked, riding my bike, being outside. And I really wanted just to have fun, and I wanted to watch as much TV as possible. So maybe things haven't changed that much.
Oh, yeah.
I think for me, like, since I didn't know any queer people, like, I grew up in a very rural community, I didn't even know exactly what to think about my my desires and like my gender stuff because I always was very much a tomboy. Like I always like wore like I played with boys toys. I wore boys' clothes most of the time. So I feel like that was kind of the closest I got to about thinking about my queer desires because we didn't have those kinds of that wasn't even an idea that I knew really existed until I guess I was probably in my early teens. And that's really where my queer identity kind of developed. And it's funny, too, because it did come from a lot of the white feminist queer movements of the 1970s that I was reading about. I wasn't able to intersect this idea of a indigenous queer identity because, where I grew up in a very strict Christian house. My mom definitely did not want me to be queer. Like I got kicked out when I was 16 for being queer, or it was for the meth. I'm not sure. It was kind of both of those things, right? She found that, and she just did not want me to be queer. I also think that now I could see she was trying to protect me in a way, because she knew that would be really hard on me. So. But still, at the time, you don't think about it that way. You just think about, my mom just kicked me out of my house, and I'm, in high school at 16, and, so.
I wanted to be a doctor, which was an unfortunate aspiration because I hate science. I just had the idea that it would help people. This was before I took science and realized that I don't actually like anything that doctors would have to do.
So now, here I and disability, helping people that with their doctor. So toxic. You are a doctor.
Technically, I'm a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor, as the Incredible Hulk would say.
So, when you were little, What did you aspire to be?
When I was little, I aspired to be a lawyer.
Why did you plan to be a lawyer?
I what?
Why did you plan to be?
Because I wanted to catch the bad guys. No, not really. Because I heard they made a lot of money. But obviously, I never actually wanted to be a lawyer.
So when you were young, what dreams did you have for your life?
I want to be a truck driver, like long distance truck driver. And after I found out how much they made a mile, like 35 cents a mile, that's when I decided to change my career deal. After that, I went into construction.
When you were young, what did you aspire to be?
When I was young, I think I at some point had that general idea about being a firefighter. But for the most part, I wanted to be a geologist. I was really interested in earthquakes and in the hard sciences. But of course, so I'm a linguist now, and there's a story as to how that came to be.
What was the story?
Well, it's a long story. Part of it is that I didn't do as well in some geology classes as I might have, as well as in some hard sciences. But I think what it was largely a general interest in language from my own end, as well as a need that was emerging in my tribal community. I'm a member of the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma, and our language, Miamia, was called extinct for a really, really long time. I did not grow up with Miamia because it was extinct, even though it was actually, or is documented quite well, and my community's been relearning it from that documentation. But what happened was that I took a couple of linguistics classes, and this was when I was in college in the mid-1990s, and language reclamation efforts in my tribe were starting at around the same time, really getting underway. And so those things came together, and I decided to pursue a PhD in linguistics, thinking that I wanted to be part of that reclamation process, and that I could sort of do that by becoming a linguist.
I was born into a world that I could laugh. I ran so fast into the shadow took under me. Now I know that goodbye, but this was so to new heights. It doing the challenging ways of my new life. Still I continue to prove I could do anything I put my mind to.
That's right. How did I get through it? And for me, again, it was just that I was trying to do life by myself. Like, to me, that's what life that was not a spiritual life, a life that was very driven on self-will and self-determination for myself looked like for me. So I had to, and it really had isolated me from my family, my friends, the ideas that I had about the person I wanted to be. So I had to reach out and ask for help and admit that I didn't know how to do that.
So, what is your lowest point
My lowest point in life? Well, I think it was when you had your accident. I didn't know if you were going to live.
in?
You, my nephew Sunjay. Yes, my nephew Sunjay, who's sitting over there, got into an accident when he was 6. He was hit by a car, and they gave him a less than 1% chance of survival. He was in a coma for several months, and the doctors kept saying he wouldn't make it, and that was just a horrible time, because every time you'd get a ring, you didn't know, is that going to be the doctor saying he's gone? And it was very up and down. First they'd say, he's getting better, then he's getting worse, and he's getting better. So that was, to me, a year of torture.
How did you overcome it?
Well, as it turns out, Sunjay, who's sitting over here, survived. So that was helpful. Also, that really challenged a lot of my ableist assumptions, because people were saying, well, you know what, even if Sunjay survives, he won't have a good quality of life, because we had and did, as did many people, had a very ableist understanding of what a good life was. But as I've seen Sunjay grow up and be generally amazing, I realized that no, you have to change what you think a good quality of life is and not have it from an ableist perspective. And so I started to see that all life is a blessing and that all life needs to be respected, and that you have to see the many different ways people can be in the world.
The hardest point in my life was probably being away from my daughter during deployments. Because I kind of like her.
How did you overcome breaking with that?
You just push down those feelings of loneliness and missing, and you put it in a little box and throw it away in the back of your brain.
My toughest time of my life. Trying to find a real good paying job, and sticking with somebody like a big company. That's what I kind of wanted to do. So I did finally find that with OU and everything. But yeah, in between, when I was deciding to go to college or something like that, I was looking for something that paid real well. But the only way I knew I'd be able to make it to where I wanted to go was I had to go to college. So that's what I did. I went to junior college, went to Haskell, and then I transferred from Haskell to OU.
And how did you get through your tough time?
Worked hard and try to save money and try to enjoy my life the way it was then. So mainly I just kind of worked on my truck and take care of myself and everything, and try do all the fun stuff like swimming, going to the lakes and stuff like that. So I kind of enjoyed life that way, and go to powwows and stuff.
What was the toughest time in my life? Do I have to just give one, or can I give multiple? Yeah, actually, I'm not sure what it is. I mean, there were various ups and downs, growing up. Been fortunate in that I've never had any sort of major illness, never had major financial difficulties, things like that. I did struggle at various times through graduate school because of the isolation, I think, and sometimes a disconnect between what I was doing to meet academic expectations versus what I thought I needed to be doing for my tribal community. This, incidentally, has sort of guided my teaching now, particularly with graduate students. How do we balance those things? How do we maintain our humanity? Recognizing, of course, that we're going to be better scholars when we do that and when we're true to ourselves. So I had ups and downs. I think after grad school, or I should say until graduate school, academically everything worked out for me. I got into the programs I was trying to get into. I got my degrees. I had enough funding. I got a job, 2-year stint after college and before graduate school. And then everything fell apart when I finished my PhD, and the economy in the United States fell out at the same time. And so I had a period of about 4 years where I was either unemployed or underemployed, working in adjunct positions or not working at all. And it was hard. I think there were the financial implications, but also the psychological implications because I'd worked so hard. But things have turned around.
And what got you through the tough time?
What got me through the tough time? I'm not entirely sure. I managed. Maybe some things I wish I'd managed better, especially in terms of my mental health and emotional health, and maybe sort of seeking help earlier than I actually did for some problems with depression that I think were clearly linked to the life situation I was in. But one thing that's guided my work, or sort of guided the tough times, is that I'm able to see positive things that are happening by virtue of my being a linguist. I'm saying people don't, for the most part, talk about my tribal language as extinct anymore. People really are doing good reclamation work in Native American communities. Linguistic science has a way to go. Ways to go, it's still very colonial, but it's better. And I feel like I've made an impact in that. And sort of keeping those things in mind has helped me a lot. And I also occasionally just take some time off, at least a couple of hours, read Nancy Drew books, watch The Golden Girls, and garden.
I was born to a world that I could laugh. I ran so fast until the shadow took hold of me. Now I know that goodbye, but this was so to new heights. It doing the challenging ways of my new life. Still I continue to prove I could do anything I turned my mind to.
Given all that you've been through, how do you like how your life's unfolding now?
Well, I guess I'm really stoked to be at this conference now that I'm thinking about it. I think that that's one of the things I love about, things quickly go shitty, and they have, but I also feel like things can quickly become very good and very different. Like new conversations can start, and being at this Indigenous Anarchist conference is just like something when I was young I would have loved, but I couldn't even imagine that it would happen, And so I'm really excited that things like this are happening. And the truth is, I guess I didn't really expect to live very long. So it's kind of crazy. I'm in my 40s and I'm still alive. And I get to write and think about Indigenous life and different ways of being that, are really things I couldn't imagine to be possible. So.
How my life is unfolding? I don't know. I guess I don't really think in terms of happiness. I think in terms of progress towards ending global oppression. So, as far as that goes, I guess I could say I've just done life to the best of my ability. I've never avoided something because I was afraid to try it. I always took a risk. I always took my best shot to try to make the world a better place. And I didn't let fear stop me. So, in that sense, I can feel good about what I've tried, even if everything I've done didn't work out as well as I would have liked.
Okay.
Yes. I'm very happy. I'm very blessed. There's nothing major in my life that I would change. Maybe my eye color, but I can't do nothing about that.
It's a lot better today, I guess, because I was, it's, kind of changed and everything. I wouldn't be living in a house like this, wasn't for my wife. And so I was kind of living in apartments and stuff like that. So I was content then, too, but, because I knew that was the way I was going to be. And then finally, when I got married, things got a lot better, for my livelihood or for the future, I guess. I kind of look forward to the future and helping her go through her stuff too as well.
I feel like I'm pretty lucky. I'm annoyed by a lot of things on a day-to-day basis, but particularly the academic efforts are really sort of starting to come around. I'm starting to see really positive things happening, and I feel fortunate that I'm able to be part of that, and also that I now actually have a job that allows me to do those things, because previously I didn't. Even after the period of unemployment, I was still in a job for 5 years where I couldn't do the types of scholarly work that I wanted to do.
Stop. You'd already stopped it, I guess. Oh, stop!